The brands that you're going to see in today's video are apparently the top most popular beauty brands of 2024, at least according to Cosmetify. They're a site that goes through and ranks all of the beauty brands every year, and they do it by a couple of different factors. One is their social media following, but of course that doesn't tell the whole story. The second part of that is also their engagement rate. So not only do they have tons of followers, but also very engaged followers. And then the third thing is just Google searches and how often are people searching for these brands. So to be completely honest with you, I'm scratching my head at a few of these, and some other ones do make sense. So I wanted to chat about this today and see if you all agree with these results, because I know I certainly don't. And at the end of the video, I'll talk about some of the brands that I think should have been on the list that weren't. So if that sounds good, let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, so first things first, because it's Vlogmas, I just want to show you the Shop My Stash item for today. It's day 19, and if you're just tuning in, I decided to make my own advent calendar this year with items from my stash so I could be surprised every day with something that I haven't tried in a while, and I asked my son to help me out. He just came in here and picked out some random things, so I really have no idea what's coming. For today, I got the Too Faced Born This Way Cold Smolder Nudes palette. This is a palette I haven't thought about in a really long time. Do they even still make this? I don't know. But if they do, I'm actually going to link it down below because I forgot how actually amazing this palette is. If you are a neutral eyeshadow lover like I am, this is so pretty. And it's also kind of more on the neutral to cool leaning side. It's not a super warm palette. I had so much fun using this eyeshadow palette today. This formula is, to me, better than a lot of the larger palettes that Too Faced has come out with in recent years. So this is really a cute little gem from my collection. I'm loving it. So, all right, let's get into this ranking. I just want to quickly note that last year's #1 winner was Rare Beauty, and this year they're not on the list at all. And I'm not quite sure why. It's a little bit confusing to me because not only are they not in the top 10, they're not even in the top 50. And that kind of makes no sense because they were #1 last year. How could they have fallen so far? So I have no idea if this was just some sort of oversight, but Rare Beauty is now nowhere on the list. So why don't we start out with the #10 brand and kind of work our way up to the #1 most popular beauty brand in the world. So coming in at number 10 is Bubble Skincare. I actually was really pleasantly surprised to see them on the list. I have so many of their products and I love them. They are marketed toward, I think, the younger generations, and I'm going to be 50 in a couple of years, so I know I'm not their target demographic, but I just love them. Their products are simple, really effective. They have great ingredients. They're fragrance-free, they're cruelty-free, and everything that I've used from them has just been super effective, like their vitamin C serum, their exfoliant. I mean, they're just fantastic and they're really affordable, easy to find at the drugstore. So I love them and I was so happy to see them on the list. Coming in at number 9, we had Laneige, and Laneige is another brand that kind of surprised me because when it comes to K-beauty brands, I heard about a lot of other ones, not really so much Laneige. I heard about Fui a lot, Tier, Beauty of Joseon as well, but I think the one thing from Laneige that is just universal that people keep buying like crazy, especially like the teens, are their lip masks. Their lip masks, I think, are probably, arguably, their most popular product in their line. And of course, their milky toner. But again, I felt like so many people were talking about other milky toners this year, especially when it comes to K-beauty. Not really so much theirs. I didn't hear it. But again, maybe I'm just not on social media enough. Then at number 8, we have Glossier. This was another huge surprise. This is a brand I don't really hear too much about anymore. I felt like they had this huge cult following for a while, but that was years ago. But according to what I found, they had a change in leadership this year, and they've also increased their presence by being in Sephora now, so they're not just an online brand, and maybe that got people talking about them a little bit more. I think they've also been trending a lot over on TikTok, and I think TikTok really drives some of these, and again, maybe that's why I'm surprised, because I'm not over on TikTok quite as much as I am over here. But personally, I don't have a lot of experience with Glossier products. I did try their new liquid bronzer that came out in 2024 and absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. So I have been meaning to try more from them, and I've also noticed on the Sephora website that they've been releasing some new fragrances, and I know fragrance is super popular right now, so that could also be what's driving their popularity a little bit more. Coming in at number 7, we have e.l.f. This one isn't surprising, but it's surprising to me that it's this far down on the list. And it's also the only drugstore makeup brand that you're going to see not just in the top 10, but in the top 50. It was all high-end or luxury brands. But that being said, I can see why e.l.f. is so popular. They had some really big releases this year. They had the Sun Boss SPF lip glosses. They had their lash extender mascara, the Dewy Power Grip setting spray, the Finest Fleck eyeshadows. They also had bronzing drops. They had the Soft Glam foundation, which I really love. Their liquid bronzer and contour. I mean, there's probably a bunch more that I'm not even thinking of. Those are just off the top of my head. But as a brand, they're always on top of the trends. They're always affordable. And by comparison, I think the other drugstore brands like L'Oreal, Maybelline, Revlon, like they're just not trendy enough, and they're also not releasing products at the same rate, so they're not at the top of everybody's mind. They still kind of stick to that, like release products in January and then again in the summer, and that's basically it. You don't hear from them again. So I think that's why e.l.f. tends to stay a little bit more current than some of the other drugstore brands. Coming in at number 6, we have Dior. This is another one that I kind of was like scratching my head, but like it or not, luxury makeup is really trending this year. I did a whole video a while back about some data that I came across, some consumer studies that showed that more people are buying luxury makeup than ever before. And that was surprising to me given the state of the economy and inflation. And everyone's always talking about how things are too expensive and it's hard to afford stuff. But then luxury makeup is going up. It kind of didn't compute, but again, over on TikTok, it's everywhere. And I think a lot of the products that we saw go really viral were luxury, and some of them were definitely Dior. How can we forget the Rosy Glow blush or their lip oils? Those have been some of the biggest products of the last year or two. And in another surprising twist, I think it's teenagers that are really fueling the luxury market these days, because I mean, just the teenagers that I know in real life, and also when I go into Sephora, I see more teenagers than anybody else, and they're standing online with one of their parents with a basket full of brands like Dior and Charlotte Tilbury and Drunk Elephant and all of these really expensive brands. So to me, it's kind of mind-blowing. It was hard enough to get my parents to even buy me makeup or skincare when I was a teenager, let alone anything high-end. It was drugstore all the way. Anecdotally, that's just what I've been noticing, but I mean, the data speaks for itself. Dior is really, really popular right now. And again, you're going to see more luxury brands as we go up the list. So coming in at number 5 is Rhode. This is one of the brands that I definitely was thinking was going to be on the list for sure. I can see this one. And I think it's because, you know, they had so much hype. First off, they had the strawberry girl aesthetic that Hailey Bieber had started over on TikTok. And it kind of made its way over here a little bit too. And that was having like the pink cheeks and lips. It was a whole trend. And then in February, they launched the cell phone case that sort of broke the internet that held their little lip gloss. And you saw all these other makeup brands trying to copy and making like funny memes out of it, just taping their product to the back of a cell phone. I mean, it was a cute trend, but again, it really got people talking about them. And I also think Rhode is really popular because Hailey Bieber is just super involved in the brand. She's always online doing tutorials and talking about the products, and you really can't say that about a lot of other celebrity-owned makeup brands. Some of them are very hands-off, and she's the opposite. So I do give her a lot of credit for really being super involved and being like the face of her brand. So she has a much more hands-on approach. And recently I saw this video where they had a little booth set up in LA, and the lines were absolutely crazy. Like, people really must love this brand so much to be willing to stand in a line like that. I know I never would, probably for any makeup brand, whether I love them or not. But I just think they've had a really big year, and I was even personally curious enough to try some of their products. I got their Milky Toner, their little blush sticks that they came out with, and the peptide lip balms, and I do think they're nice. I have no complaints about them whatsoever. I don't think they're like the most extraordinary, unique brand in the world, but the products are good, so I do give them credit, and I think they earned their spot on the list for sure. Coming in at number 4, we have Drunk Elephant. This is the one I was just like, no, I don't know what it is about this brand that I don't like so much. Well, actually, no, I do. I take that back. I don't like their constant pushing of, we're cleaner than everyone else, we're better than everyone else. It's just marketing. It's just a marketing gimmick, basically. And they also charge so much money for products that are really basic. Like, if you take their virgin marula oil, it's literally just straight marula oil. There's no other ingredients. It's just that one thing. $69 for that. You can get it from The Ordinary for $11. You can go to a health food store and probably get a big thing of marula oil for $11. Like, it's ludicrous. And at the same time, I think what really pushed their popularity this year the most was teenagers. And I feel bad because I think, they haven't been using makeup and skincare long enough to really see through all of the marketing BS. They just see like, it's cool, so I want my parents to buy it. And you might remember earlier in the year, there was all of that buzz about the Sephora kids and the teenagers that were going into the stores and destroying the Drunk Elephant displays and squirting them out everywhere. And then after that, there were countless articles that were coming out about it, telling parents, like, please don't buy your teenagers these active ingredients in skincare because it's going to ruin their skin. It was this whole big drama, and I feel like Drunk Elephant was almost at the center of it. So for me, I almost wonder if their popularity was more about that, because we saw a lot of people searching for Drunk Elephant just because of all of like the drama with the teens and all of that. So I sometimes wonder if they really made this list because of people searching for them out of drama more than it was popularity. I would really love to hear your thoughts down below about Drunk Elephant and just what your take on them is, and if you agree with me or not. Coming in at number 3, we have Fenty. So this one, I kind of see being on the list a little bit more. I don't think they're the most exciting brand in the world, but they do have very solid products. They have large shade ranges. I feel like they appeal to most people. You can definitely find something, I think, from their line. This year they released their Soft Lit foundation, which I love. That's one of my top favorites. It actually made it into my top favorite complexion video. They also released the Gloss Bomb Sticks in July, which I think were super popular. And they also have those Cheek Suede blushes that are amazing. Those are one of my favorite blushes that I've been using so much. So like I said, I think they're a solid brand. They don't do too many releases, like they're not bombarding us constantly, but when they do come out with something, it seems well thought out. I feel like the quality is pretty good for the most part. I don't think I've tried anything from them that I thought was terrible. Plus, Rihanna is a little bit more involved in the brand as well. I feel like she's not just the face of it. I don't know that I necessarily would have put them way up at number 3, especially because I don't feel like they're a super hyped brand. Coming in at number 2, this one's going to be, I think, really controversial. It's Charlotte Tilbury. This, if you watched my video about the most overrated brands that are out there, she was like at the top of your list. So many of you really dislike her brand and feel like it's just overpriced and not worth the money. So this is definitely a surprise that she's especially this high up. And I also don't feel like she had a ton of new releases this year. There was the Unreal Skin stick back in June. I mean, I guess that was very talked about. I don't know that it was necessarily very well liked. It had really mixed reviews. She also released the Exagger Eyes mascara. I think it was this fall. And again, I saw very mixed reviews with that as well. So again, it could be one of those brands that's just really hyped over on TikTok and I'm just not seeing it. I think people love like her aesthetic for the brand and the luxury vibes that it has, but I think overall people are just kind of underwhelmed when they try her products. At least that's how I've felt in the past. They look nice, but then you try it and it's like, okay, I can get like a drugstore lipstick that's similar, or her eyeshadows aren't really anything to write home about. Although I do like her cream eyeshadows in the pot. Those are really good. Like she does have a couple things that I think are really worth it, but the majority for me, I just felt like it was okay. So I'm definitely a little confused that she made it that high up on the list. And then coming in at number 1, we had Sol de Janeiro. This doesn't surprise me at all. I don't know how much I agree with it. Again, I don't think I would put them way up there, but I do like them as a brand. Their sales growth this year was up 160%, which is huge. They were the most Googled beauty brand. They released their number 59 back in January, which is one of my favorite scents from them. I really love that one and it went super popular. And then a lot of people were talking about them because there was that whole thing about that scent attracting spiders to people. And so that was kind of a thing for a while. And I'm sure that resulted in a lot of Google searches as well. But I also think that they really leveraged TikTok to get the word out there. A lot of younger people are loving them as a brand. I also saw them keep selling out of products in 2024 because certain things would get trendy and go viral and then you couldn't get it for a while. And aside from all of that, we know that fragrance has become so trendy this year and they really capitalized on that. And I think they just appealed to so many people who were looking for fragrance. They don't seem like this stuffy, like old-fashioned fragrance brand. They are young and hip and fresh and they have that sort of like tropical vacation vibe. It's fun. I also think they appeal to younger consumers because they have like a bath and body range. So it's not just fragrance. They have the body mists, which are a little bit lighter than a perfume. Then they also have like their shower products, their body butters, and people like to layer. So it has that really youthful vibe. And I mean, just going by like my own personal experience, I did a YouTube short a while back about like ranking my top fragrances from them. And it is by far the most viewed short on my channel. I mean, it really got a ton of views and it sparked all of this discussion about, you know, what are people's favorites from them and whether they agreed with me or not. So that one definitely kind of solidified in my mind that Sol de Janeiro is very popular and it doesn't seem like they're going anywhere for a while. So saying all of that, what brands do I think should be on this list? If I were to make it, I would say I was confused about why I didn't see ColourPop on the list. I think ColourPop still continues to be really popular. Maybe not as much as they were before, and maybe they have made the list in previous years and I just didn't see it because I didn't really look at this list back then. And yeah, I do think that some people are getting tired of their constant new releases or all of the collabs that they do with like Disney and some of these pop culture things. I think, you know, that doesn't always appeal to everybody. I'm not as big a fan of that, but I do think that their products are really good. They have great pricing, and also you can find them in stores. You can get them at Target and Ulta, and I think they, kind of similar to e.l.f., do a good job at keeping on top of trends. And I also think that their stuff is a little bit more high quality than e.l.f. most of the time, but e.l.f. tends to get all the hype. So definitely I would have put ColourPop on the list somewhere. Also, Moira, I think they're another brand that I see a lot on social media now. Maybe they're still too small of a brand to have that much reach, but I also really have been loving everything they come out with. They're super on top of trends. They have a lot of dupes, which are always popular. And similar to ColourPop, I think that their quality is also better than e.l.f. So personally, I would put them above e.l.f. on the list, but I think the only reason that they weren't there is just because they don't have as big a following as some of the other brands on this list, but hopefully that'll change at some point. Another brand I've really been into lately, and I think is so fun, is Half Magic. I hope that at some point we'll see them make the list because because I think their products are fantastic. They're really fun and different. They're one of those brands that is kind of making me more excited about makeup again. It's not just the same old stuff all the time, so I'd love to see them hit this list at some point. And RMS Beauty too. I think they're such a beloved brand by so many people, and the video that I did on them earlier in the year was also one of my highest viewed videos, so I know there's a lot of interest in them. They recently came to Ulta, so they're another one I would definitely like to see. NYX is one that I was shocked did not make the list. I know I talked about some of the other drugstore brands not being like really trendy and viral, but NYX comes out with so many products. They seem to be really well loved, especially when it comes to drugstore brands. So I was surprised at that. I wonder if they even made the top 50. I just want to look at the list. Actually, I don't think so, because earlier I had said that e.l.f. was the only makeup brand that made the top 50. There were some drugstore skincare brands that were on the list, like Bioma as one example. They were at number 14. Also, we had Bubble at number 10. But yeah, most of the products on this list are all high end. So we can just take a quick look together. I'm not going to really dive into it, but at number 11, we have P. Louise. Another kind of surprising one because I don't hear a lot about them. Number 12, Summer Fridays. Number 13, Beauty of Joseon. I think their sunscreen really must have had a lot to do with that. I heard everybody talking about it. 14, we have Bioma. 15 is Gisu. I think that's how you say that brand. They're the ones with the lip oils. I saw those everywhere, and the honey hair oil. 16, Kosar X. 17, K18. Number 18 is Way. 19, Patrick Ta. He's another one that made my list of overrated brands. Number 20 is Kayali, fragrance brand, so I definitely see that one. 21, House Labs. 22 is Tatcha. 23 is Color Wow. Number 24 is Amika. 25 is Ilia. Then we had Weleda, Medicate, Refi. 29 is Tower 28. Then we had Say, Juliet Has a Gun. Number 32 was Lemmy. I don't even know what that is. I have no clue. Number 33 is Beauty Pie. Wow, that is an interesting one to me. I do really like their products, but I noticed that every time I did a video about them, people would complain about their business model. Everybody just felt like it was kind of a little scammy, so I stopped talking about them, but apparently they're still pretty popular. Vital Proteins is another one. Number 35, Secret, or I don't know if I'm saying that right. I don't know what that brand is either. Then we had Danessa Myricks at 36, Made by Mitchell. Oh, Naturium, they're a drugstore skincare brand as well. I'm surprised they weren't higher up. One Size was number 40. And then the last 10, we had Merit Beauty, Topicals, Augustinius Bader. I'm not familiar with that brand either. Living Proof, Fleur. Fleur is another one I thought would be much higher on the list. Sculpted by Amy, Ultraviolet, Vive, Hello Sunday, and Sunday Body. So there you have it, the top 50 beauty brands in the world. To me, this was just really interesting to see because for the life of me, I can't understand why some of those brands made the list, but yet there's no mention of ColourPop, Rare Beauty, NYX, like some of these brands that I think we hear about all the time. So I would really love to hear your take on it. As always, you guys have such intelligent thoughts to say all the time, and I love reading your comments. So let me know why you think these brands made the list and which ones you would like to see on there as well. And if you're curious to see what my subscribers thought were the most overrated and underrated brands of 2024, I'll put those videos right here so you could check those out next. And I want to thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here. I appreciate you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next one. Take care, guys. Bye.